When I ride my motorcycle here in the deep south of the United States, I always try to ride out way out in the country and never ever in the cities. Because the most drivers in the cities, it can just be best described as absurdity gone astray. So while living in Europe, I added auxiliary lights in order to be able to see further out on the country roads at night. Here in the deep south, I add auxiliary lights in order for other people to see me so they don't run me over. I wish I was exaggerating, but unfortunately I am not. So in this video, in order to make the rear of my Yamaha Ténéré 700 a little bit more visible, I'm popping on 2 extra tail/brake lights. I wanted some small circular lights with a bullet shape. And of course, the cable had to be hidden. And the lights had to be black. So I found 2 different lights and then I ended up with these Rizoma Café racer tail lights. The lights are very well made. The housing is of aluminum and they're crimped onto the lens, and the whole assembly should be 100% waterproof. The 2 lights are pretty small, and here they are located next to the little quarter so you can see the size. But that was my intention, for the lights to be smaller than the OEM taillight. Since it's an LED light, it draws very little current. The taillight draws 0.8 watts and the brake lights draws 0.9 watts. So that's a total of 3.4 watts for both lights when all 4 bulbs are on. Because of the low power being drawn, you can use very thin wiring, making it fairly easy to crimp all the terminals on the connections. The taillight on the Yamaha Ténéré 700 is connected with the same 3-prong connector, the Sumitomo MT 90, as the 2 accessory ports up front. So I used some little parts I had laying around and built a 1:3 splitter. The connectors are fairly easy to make. The whole clue is to have the right tools. Using a wire stripper to remove the insulation is a breeze compared to a regular set of pliers. Just remember on thin wiring to dial down the little tension screw. With a wire stripper set at low tension, you don't damage any of the strands in the wire. I tried before with other set of crimpers for other terminals, but you need this specific type of crimper in order to make good connections with the terminals. There's a link down in the description. Twist the strands of the wires together and insert the wire seal. This illustration shows what a good crimp should look like. Insert the terminal into the opening in the crimping pliers that fits it the best, and then just apply light pressure, and then you insert the wire, and then you can apply full pressure. If the terminal gets bent during the crimping, just use a set of pliers with a flat blade and just apply slight pressure and just straighten it back out. On your computer you can hit Ctrl Z in order to undo errors, and in order to remove the little terminal from the connector you need the green little pin remover in the middle of this picture. This picture can best be described as control chaos, and that's what it looks like sometimes when I work on my bike. And an old pickup truck in your yard is the perfect work table. The rear side of each terminal has a little square depression, a little hole, and that hole fits into a little spring-loaded clip inside the connector. When you push the terminal into the connector, you should hear a little click. I used a pre-made cable with the 3 conductors inside of it. It's 22 gauge, and then I used an adhesive heat shrink tubing at each end just so it looks a little bit better, a little bit more professional. The first part is to remove the seat. In my case it's fairly easy because I have a single piece seat. If not, you have to use a little 4mm Allen wrench in order to remove the front part of the seat. On this bike I have to remove the OEM Yamaha top rack and the GV aluminum side case carriers, so I'm just going to bypass that piece because it's not common. These pieces were not meant to fit together, but it gives me the ability to carry aluminum top and side cases. The triangular side panels are held in place by 3 T30 Torx bolts each, and on the back side of the panel there's a pin that is set into a rubber grommet, so once all the bolts are removed, just pull on the panel perpendicular to the away from the bike to loosen the little pin. The top rear cover is held in place by a plethora of fasteners and tabs, and do deserve its own chapter. 5 bolts at the top where you need a 4mm Allen bit or key. 6 bolts, 3 per side, where you need a T30 Torx bit or key. A T40 Torx bit or key is needed to remove the 4 luggage hold-on bolts. There are 2 plastic plugs, 1 per side, where you push on the middle or the rear of the plastic plug in order to remove them. The underside at the rear of the top panel is held in place by a little tab, so you need to push the whole panel towards the rear of the bike in order to release the tab. Be especially aware of this tab when you put the panel back onto the bike. So that makes 18 fasteners to hold the top cover in place. Pretty amazing. The connector to the taillight is located underneath the top rear panel on the left hand side. The 3 connectors on the right hand side of the picture, those are the little splitter I made that goes from 1 to 3. So 1 connector is used to the original taillight and the other 2 to the 2 add-on auxiliary taillights, brake lights. After trying multiple locations at the rear of the bike in order to find a place to mount the 2 extra tail brake lights, I ended up by drilling 2 8mm holes at the side of the original brake light's taillight. The kit comes with wedge-shaped aluminum spacers that you use when you mount the light on an angular surface, so I had to modify them a little bit in order for it to sit correct perpendicular to the bike. At this location, the 2 extra lights gives extra width to the original light, and the fasteners and the wiring, they're all hidden out of view. If this half-crazy project keeps drivers behind me at an extra distance, it is absolutely worth the time it took to do it. Thanks for watching. Have a good safe ride. Please subscribe. More videos to follow.